Okay, talking about CapEx.
Yeah.
A lot of it's linked to the FTTP rollout, the increase in that, my understanding.
Yes, it is. Again, Senator, page 12 of the presentation.
Yep. So, how, on average, can you confirm the cost per household of installation of the FTTP rollout, the fibre to the premises? On brownfield, not greenfield.
The lead-in is around about $1,400, but we hope to improve that. And trying to remember the cost for the. I'm genuinely trying to remember the cost for the. I think it's $1,250. I think it is per premise for the build of the fibre in the street. So if you add them together, that's
2,600.
Use that as a use that as a rough.
So if we're rolling this out, that's a lot of months of broadband to increase. Is there a lock-in for that if someone locks into that, or is they tied into a contract, or what?
So the benefits from that over time are a few things, Senator. It gives the opportunity for customers who currently on fibre to the curb can get 100 megabits per second to get higher speeds, and it gives the ability for customers on fibre to the node who have between 25 and 100 megs, gives them the opportunity for higher speeds. So there's clearly for the company there's an opportunity for revenue growth.
What's the difference in price between 100 megabits per second and yes, 50 megabits?
Again, you have to go by industry averages, but it's about $5. Sorry? It's about $5 a month. Okay. The second reason for that, though, is the ability, it's like Senator Hughes was asking me earlier, it's the ability for us to ensure we retain customers on our network and grow customers on our network by having a fibre-based network. The penetration rate, what we call penetration, I mean the number of homes who take up an NBN service in an area that's served by fibre to the premise is higher than the percentage of homes that take up a service in a fibre to the node area, for example. There are reasons for that. Some of that's demographics, but a lot of that is the reliability of services. So, and the speed you can get, So the second reason is to help us retain and grow customers. The third reason is our operating costs reduce. For a whole pile of reasons, IT systems are easier. It also takes costs out of the industry too, by the way. It also means that our operating expenditure will reduce because there are less faults on the network and less complex business to operate. So a combination of increase in average revenue per user, reduced operating costs, reduced capital costs as well, and increased penetration of the number of people on our network is the reason why it makes financial sense for us to do that.
$5 increase in revenue.
Sorry, and on top of that is better. Of course, there is the policy driven, which is to ensure that Australia builds its economy, like I was talking about in the essential research, provides a more opportunity for people to have health and education, reach government services, and ensures that Australia is competitive internationally. So it's good for policy, but for NBN itself, it's also a good investment.
Okay. So how long do we lock someone in for if they do the conversion from copper to fibre to the premises?
It's a relationship with the retailer.
So you don't make the whole. You don't make the retailer sign up for a certain length of time if they did.
No, what we say is that the customer should sign up to if they want a fibre to the premise service, and they're on a copper base. If they're on a FTTN service, we require them to order 100 megabit per second service. If they're on a fibre to the curb, or above, fibre to the curb, we require them to purchase a 250 megabit per second or above service, i.e. a faster speed than they get today.
So, saying going the $5 a month upsell on a $2,650 installation, at that, not saying lower cost, they have to remain customers for 530 months or 44.1 years.
That's
on cash recovery, not this sort of stuff. If you double that for the savings, that's still 22 years.
So it's the wrong way to look at it, Senator, because you're taking the 50 to 100. Of course, a lot will go from 50 to higher speeds, or from 12 and 25 to 100. So
what's the difference between that?
It depends on
industry average. What's the price?
$20, $25 uplift that could be.
Okay, so we're down to 10 years.
And Senator, you need to factor in the fact that we will over time, if we don't, the sort of question that Senator Hughes was asking me, roll forward 5 years when there's a lot of data that people and speeds that people need, and we have people on 25 megabits per second. We will lose competition in the market. So that you need to factor in the fact that we will have more customers on our network on a fibre-based, faster service. And you've got to factor in...
But you have to keep them for 20 years.
No, but Senator, you don't, because you're just doing it on revenue. There's revenue, there's operating cost, there's capital cost, and there is the opportunity...
You're spending the capital cost, 2,000 to put it on.
We reduce capital costs going forward. Because
what capital costs?
Copper remediation, the need to replace... equipment like what we call distribution point units or DPUs in fibre to the curb. When you put fibre in the ground, basically it's a 50, 60-year investment.
Yeah, 2 years.
So the investment, the expenditure we will have to do going forward reduces in capital and operating costs. We will increase the number of customers on our network, and we'll have higher average revenue per user. The investment that we're making makes sense financially for NBN, and it obviously makes sense from a policy point of view. That's why, Senator, you've got to look at infrastructure companies build for a decade or and beyond. They don't build for tomorrow.
You've got to build for 4 decades at this rate of return.
Sorry, Senator.
You've got to build for 4 decades at that rate of return.
No, Senator, you have to trust me. I've done the math. My team has done the math on this. Those 4 factors absolutely gives us a financial return on this investment.